there's automation, and then there's AI.
Now with AI, there's such a high level of ability to personalize.
The jobs that are being eliminated are unskilled labor jobs that young people can get.
McDonald's just canceled their AI drive-thru like last month, right?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is August 20th, 2024. You're watching the Daily AI Show live, and today we are talking about, is AI coming for your Big Mac value meal? What is AI doing in the fast food restaurant space? They are, whether we realize it or not, AI is touching and has been touching all parts of the process for quite some time now. We have Jyunmi, Andy, Beth, and I'm Brian. We'll see if anybody else pops in the door. Get the hat right. There we go. That would drive me nuts for the rest of the show if my hat was crooked. Yeah, this is a sort of a fun conversation. It almost seems like a carry-on of yesterday, but we're really not really. Yesterday, by the way, if you didn't listen to our show, we talked about humanoid robots, where their place might be in the future. Do we in fact want humanoid robots? Do we want things that have expressions on them and are mimicking human emotions? We got all into all that yesterday. So by all means, if you haven't, go back and listen to or watch yesterday's show. Now, today isn't really about the fast food restaurant of the future with the AI humanoid robot that serves you, with an apron on and a digital smile. And it's like, I hope you enjoy your fries today. That might be part of it, but that's probably like this sort of far off type thing. And I don't know necessarily that's what we're looking for. I think what the fun conversation for me with this today is all the different places and parts of the fast food, not chain, I don't want to mix words there, not a fast food chain, but you know what I'm saying? The whole ecosystem, that's a better word for it, of fast food and all the different places that AI is impacting it. And I think just to start that conversation, we can start about what has already been there for quite some time. There's two things that come to mind. Personally, for me, when I just got back from Europe, but I'd also been over in Europe for 5 months back in 2017. In 2017 in Berlin, where I was for 2 months with my family, there was already the McDonald's self-ordering kiosks. They were double-sided, and you would walk into the McDonald's, and just honestly, the way it just was in Paris as well when I was just there, looked very similar, but we're talking 5 years ago in Berlin. And you would walk up and it would say, it would start in German, but they would easily have something at the top that said, do you want to switch your language to English or whatever? And you would, and then you would stand at this kiosk, but that was like a giant iPad, and you would make orders. And I think a lot of people are already familiar with this or already have this deployed in their local McDonald's back home. Certainly not just a European thing, but that was the first place I ever personally saw it early on. And it was innovative. It was cool. And at the time, the thought was like, I don't know, is it just easier to go up to the counter? Now, there was a bit of a language barrier for us. My wife spoke a bit of German. So that immediately, if you're traveling, right, and you're speaking a different language, immediately you're going to be so thrilled to see the kiosk because you could do it in your language. There's no pressure. You don't feel like the people behind you are like, what are they doing? They don't understand anything that's saying and they're holding up the whole line. So immediately it takes all that pressure off of you. But also, I think even if you do speak the language, it takes the pressure off for you to necessarily move fast or maybe not take your time with the order. So that's one part we know of. And then before we can dive into that, but then the other side is like what we already know is going on with the apps. Everybody wants you to sign up for the app, get in the reward program, be part of it. They're going to send you cool deals, and they're going to, they're going to tell you there's a brand new World of Beer, which isn't fast food, but it's right up the street from me. And World of Beer loves to send me like the deal of the day. They want to make sure I know that at any time I can walk 100 yards to that World of Beer and I can get whatever the deal of the day is. They're sort of locked and loaded, right? And if I leave my notifications on, I think World of Beer would hit me up once a day. It's ridiculous, right? But we know this is sort of the point of it. So let's just stop there because there's lots of other areas that we can go into the future of AI. But what has your guys' experience been so far? Obviously, first of all, you have to eat it. Probably fast food to see these, but have you guys used the kiosk? Have you used the self-service where you walk inside and you do your order? What has been your experience thus far?
So the main places that I've used the current systems, the kiosks, is the airport the airport versions of the restaurants, right? So space is very limited. They have essentially the size of the kitchen, the front area to give you your food, and it's just a wall of kiosks for everybody who's traveling through the airport. And I think that is the ideal end result or goal for these fast food companies is you have limited space, or you don't want to take up a lot of space. You want to use minimal space. You want to use minimal labor, and you want it to be as fast as possible with the least amount of contact, because that allows you to cycle through more customers, per hour or per minute or whatnot, especially if you're in a very high traffic area, right? So I think all of these technologies is just moving towards better and better versions of that. You've already mentioned the phone apps. Like, all of my friends who are addicted to Starbucks or whatnot, they're always ordering their fancy orders on the app first, so that when they go through the drive-thru, they just pick it up, right? Because the customers want minimal contact as well. They're already about on their way. I mean, that's the whole purpose of fast food, is to get some food really quick and go. It's not a dining experience, not really, right? So I can imagine that a place like McDonald's or Taco Bell, all they really want is a kitchen, with their robotic workers to make the food as quickly as possible. You're ordering via the app or a kiosk or an AI ordering system, and you're driving through. The purchase already been made, right? It's already on your credit card or whatnot, so you don't have to handle cash or anything like that. And the food is just available for you to pick up the bag and go. So I think eventually that's kind of what their ideal plan is, because then you can put something the size of, a half container anywhere, right? Just like how you see those drive-through coffee bars and things like that. You're just zipping through, grabbing your coffee and going, and you don't need much more than a food cart to make that food and have it available.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get your point. Like, how hard is it to do pop-up restaurants or test an idea if really what it is a Connex container with a bunch of Kumba arms in it who can be programmed to make your side of fries? I mean, that by the way, that kind of made me laugh. We'll get into Cali Express here in a second, which is a robotic made by Flippy, by the way. Flippy is the flipper for the fries and the burger patties and stuff. We can get to that in a second, but some TikTok or some social content creator, I was like, ooh, it tastes good. And I thought to myself, like, well, it's still the same fry and the same, the same grease and with the same amount of salt on it. So I don't know that the taste is necessarily something, but I guess if it burnt everything because the robot, wasn't tuned correctly, but I don't know that I would not be rating these. I would just assume the quality of the food was as expected, or if not higher, especially if it starts assembling the burgers, which, by the way, in Cali Express, it does not. That's a human that does it, because, who hasn't gotten, a giant piece of lettuce that's hanging off the bun, 3/4 to the left. And you're like, I mean, did anybody even look at this, or they just slap things together when they were putting it together, So anyway, it just brings up that point. But you're right, though, like with all this idea of, pop-up or testing ideas, what's to say if it's a really good experience? And I think you're right, Jimmy, it gets back to the user experience. If it's a really good user experience, if it's got a really good app, do I actually care if I pull up to a Connex box? I don't think I do. I think I'm just so impressed with the user experience that I got quality food for hopefully a good price that I don't really care what it looks like as far as that goes. I just don't want it to be messed up. I want it to be seamless. I want it to seemingly know before I know what I want to order. And we'll get into the AI side of that things, because there's definitely about the upsell and stuff. But before we do that, Andy, Beth, you guys haven't had a chance to jump in. So what are your thoughts on this so far?
All right. So I wanted to go back a little bit in history. What we're talking about is self-service, ultimately, so that you don't have to have a waiter, right? And the original precursor to fast food was done in the early 20th century It was called Automat. And eventually there were 100 locations in New York serving over 800,000 people a day. And what it was a wall of cubbies, glass cubbies, and you would put coins in to open up that cubby and remove the pre-prepared food from that. And then you would sit down at tables. And then, as you've seen in many sort of such self-service restaurants today, you then kind of clean up your own table and you put the stuff in the garbage can and so on. So the Automat was way ahead of those things. But what has changed in the world of fast food now is it's prepared to order. Okay, so you get a combination of very fast production, along with effectively self-service. You just, make your order and then you get your order delivered to you and then you sit down. All right, so now I'm going to go to my sort of personal experience with kiosk ordering. So kiosk ordering, and the example I'm going to give is Panera. Panera has a really nice kiosk setup, and they also have people standing at the sort of kiosks for the service people behind the counter. If you don't want to use the kiosk, you can still go up and order from a human person. Well, often I'll start with the kiosk, but the kiosk is hard to navigate, honestly. Like there's a lot of options, and they break it up into, okay, here's your, drinks, here's your, snack type things, here's your main courses, breakfast, and so you're having to familiarize yourself with a UI that, unless you're a really regular user, it's not going to be very fast. And I often find myself, even in the middle of an order, if I see that there's a person there that I can just go over and talk to, then that's a lot faster because I can ask a question. Do you have a mocha thing? I can't see your huge, menu that quickly or read it. And I don't want to waste time here. And I can ask a question and it just happens much, much more quickly. That's the promise of AI, I think, in ordering is conversational AI applied, not, touch screens where you automate your ordering process and then pick it up at a window later. So there are a number of different companies that are providing conversational AI ordering systems in the fast food context, but they're very early pilots, and there's not a lot of evidence about all of that happening. But there's a lot of automation that happens in fast food now that we're not seeing because it's behind the scenes. So, for example, Domino's Pizza has an AI pizza checker. So the pizza comes out of the cooking thing, and the AI is an image capture that's looking at the pizza and making sure that it doesn't have defects and so on. So that's pretty cool. That's quality control. That's one of the key functions within that thing. In robotics and automation, Chipotle has introduced Chippy, a robot that makes tortilla chips, and it also has an AI-driven cooking system that tells staff what to cook and when. So that's predictive analytics coupled with robotics and animation, and that's a pretty cool combination there, I think. So there's automation, and then there's AI, and what we've come to think of AI as is that smart, conversational, multilingual, skillful, interactive Autobot, let's call it. This is not embodied. And so I think that when those things start to show up in the ordering systems, that's going to be a bit of a game changer for me anyway, because I'm going to really enjoy working with that, just like I do with the human who's operating their system, who has much more familiarity with it and their full menu. When the AI replaces that person, I'll go to the kiosk, maybe. I might go to the human, but I'm going to jump over to the AI one as soon as I can.
Yeah. So my thoughts about this is actually comes from improvisation and musical improvisation. And so one of the things that is true is that the number of people involved, the more simple something needs to be, because everybody needs to be able to grasp it really quickly. Right? So if it's like 10 people singing a song, the chorus is super simple. It was made once, probably has less than 4 words, that kind of thing. In this context, I don't think you can make food simple beyond a certain level because it's not all the same ingredient, right? Like it's not manufacturing. We can say that that part comes out and it's identical each time. And if it's not identical, you toss it, right? So that is a piece that is as simple as it can be. And I am not sure that food can be made that simple. So it brings me to that question of what is the higher order reasoning that we have achieved in the robot or in the AI automation that is doing that? I think it's coming, but I'm curious about this, and I also feel like it's sort of the opposite for me of wanting like a smart chat bot. Like maybe I'd write like, yes, okay, I'm gonna get the lettuce bun. Show me what you think a lettuce bun is. Right? Like, are you just going to give me that, like, sad, just like you just wrapped the thing in a piece of lettuce and that is not a lettuce bun, people? Or like, as Jen's mom says, did you just like take half a head of lettuce and shove the burger in the middle of it and think that that's a bun? Like, so if we could have a, what did you understand me ask for? Right? Like, is there an image that you could show? All right, those are my thoughts. Yeah, Brian.
So I think that's a cool idea, honestly, and I'm going to share my screen while I'm talking about this because we'll talk about Presto here. But I think you're right, Beth. That's another level of if while I'm ordering at the drive-thru, so Presto is a leader in drive-thru voice automation, and either through graphics digitally or near real image, it builds it in front of me. And you're able to see what that lettuce bun looks like. And it's sort of doing the old school stack it together. If it's a burger, obviously, if it's Chipotle, it might have a nice graphic that says, you know, when you say, do you want pinto beans or black beans or whatever it is, or you want white or brown rice? That's usually the start of it beyond if you want a bowl or a wrap, right? That's the beginning of the conversation. But now, if I'm standing there with the Chipotle, employee, I'm watching that happen, and I can go, "Ooh, no, you know what? A little less, a little more." But that could all be handled sort of digitally through like a drive-thru. Now, Chipotle doesn't have to do drive-thru, but if you imagine, that's probably not that far of a step forward. But let's just talk about Presto, because Presto is not a drive-thru company. They are a technology that companies like, I don't know Taco John's, that might be a West Coast thing, but Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, which is the same thing, and then Checkers, and then Taco John's. I think Checkers might be in the same thing. Carl's Jr. Hardee's are the same company. Maybe they own the other one. So maybe they're working with the same parent company. But regardless, the idea here is that, you know, you may have already experienced these. It's possible that people listening to the show, I don't do a ton of fast food drive-thrus at this point in my life, but so I haven't had a ton of experience with this, but I do like the idea, which is that you basically show up, and, you know, we can show it here. See Presto in action. Let's see.
Really like it. Really hear that. Them. I been working with the Presto voice for never always never get.
So to see just to take doesn't stout as much because I have to worry about the as they cover.
5.
Would you like to make that a large?
Sure. When I roll up to another drive-thru, I have to wait for a human person to get on and start talking to me. Sometimes it's like, oh, can you please wait a minute? And this is really nice because it was just right there ready for me. I didn't have to wait for anything, and it got my order right. It got my adjustments that I needed really quickly. I really liked it.
So, you know, that's obviously, this is a video on Presto's site. So obviously everything in this video is going to be pro Presto. It was amazing. It didn't mess up once. I changed my order 16 times and I said absolutely no tartar sauce, and it knew exactly what I meant when I made that fish fillet. You know, I mean, whatever the case is, right? So obviously Bloomberg has reported and said Presto's claims of like 93% non-human intervention is really more like 30, but regardless of where that lands, this is obviously the future of drive-thrus. And there's a couple of things here, because this brings us back to maybe one of the original points too. Now, from the company's standpoint, they got a couple things going from them that they would love. They obviously want you to have an amazing customer experience. Think Chick-fil-A. My sister-in-law has worked for Chick-fil-A for many years now, and she has been directly involved. Responsible means like she ran the whole thing. Involved in flow patterns through Chick-fil-A. Think during COVID when all the restaurants had to quickly adapt from you can't come inside, we will bring it out to you. And think about the complexities of trying to reorganize parking lots to accommodate people who still wanted to get Chick-fil-A. And they weren't the only ones. All restaurants were dealing with that. And I remember her talking around the dinner table, talking about that was like everybody stop, red alert, let's talk about this because of COVID, obviously, when it was happening. But we've since seen the evolution of that into the parking lots of Chick-fil-A. A lot of the things that came out of COVID during the COVID time of lockdown have now turned into actual things that happen all the time. And now if you go into a Chick-fil-A parking lot, you may find several spots that are all about being ordered on the app and fast delivery out to you and just-in-time ordering, and you don't have to go through the drive-thru and all in all. Now there's doors, they're walking out the doors versus a window. Chick-fil-A is definitely doing things a little bit differently. My point to all of this is, obviously, Chick-fil-A cares about the customer experience. They have a good thing going for them. People love them some Chick-fil-A, and they usually have good things to say about the customer experience, the my pleasure and stuff like that. So now Chick-fil-A says, okay, great. We want to maintain that posture, that experience for our customers. But of course, we want to bring more AI. Okay, so there's a couple of things. The AI has to be seamless within the drive-thru if it's going to be Chick-fil-A, right? They're not going to, because it's already at such a high level, or people perceive it to be. I'm talking generally, obviously, that the AI has got to be seamless at doing a fantastic job. It's got to be, frankly, better than a human. It's got to be at that level. Now, Chick-fil-A will also really like that because, as Andy, you were talking about with the Panera example, by spending more time at that kiosk, even though you leave the kiosk in your case and you're saying, I walk up to a human, now having a full understanding of what it is I want to order, but I have some questions and I prefer to go to a human for that last mile delivery, so to speak, there's still a good chance that, Andy, you might have bought something that you weren't intending to do. Maybe you thought you were coming in with one idea of what you were going to buy, but then you get to the kiosk and it's doing a great job of maybe presenting, or it's colorful or whatever. And you think, oh yeah, I did actually want that brownie or whatever. Not you, Andy. I know that's not you, but maybe I want that extra, I don't know, I'll go with matcha. Let's go with matcha. I feel like that's healthy. So Andy's like, I do want the matcha. And so now he goes up to the counter and he still says, hey, I'm going to get that. And that's essentially an upsell. So from the company's standpoint, there's a lot of value in getting this right. Not only could it create an amazing customer experience that people actually prefer for all the reasons we've already talked about, but as we've seen with McDonald's, the main reason they love those kiosks, which we can, call it AI or not, is that people spend more happily because the kiosk can handle all the complexities. It's no longer, do you want fries with that? Do you want to make that a supersize? Do you want to make that a mega meal? It's much more complex than that. And if now they have you log in, now when we went to the ones in Paris, there was always an option for us to scan, I think, our phones if we had an account. We did. So we never did that. But had I, and it was now attached to my rewards, you can imagine that whole system may adjust to me and what my past ordering experiences were. So I'm no longer seeing what's on that kiosk, what anybody next to me would see, because it knows what I like, or maybe what my family likes, or maybe I have a little kid and they're going to know they're going to want the kids meal or whatever. And it puts that, as they said, as they explained it, now it's eye level in the grocery store shelf. It's not on the bottom anymore. They've moved that up because you care. So I think there's a lot here, but it's tricky because if you get the customer experience wrong, people will bail. They won't care how cool the robotics are. They won't care how innovative it looks. If it can't do the simple task of, did you get my order right? And did you make me feel good about this experience? You lose them. So it's a tricky thing, right?
Well, I mean, that, and McDonald's just canceled their AI drive-through like last month, right? In end of July or something like that. And that all comes from those issues that you're pointing out. And so we are in this transitional period trying to figure out what they like. Wendy's got a whole bunch of flack because they were doing adjustable prices based on surge and time of day and stuff like that. They got a lot of backlash doing that. Yeah. So you're going to see, I think you're going to see a lot of this A/B testing kind of thing to see what people find acceptable or whatnot. But in the terms of innovation side, Rainey had a really good comment. So I want to bring that up real quick. And so They're talking about if AI chefs could cook a variety of different foods. So you have your KFC or your Wendy's or something like that, and then that be taken to you, you know, because of COVID, the rise of delivery services, you know, DoorDash and things like that became far more prevalent, and people started ordering through those methods. And you had already mentioned early on about like Taco Bell with their little delivery bots, you know, going through the city because that was a much easier way of, you know, of getting orders to people. So we could go to the community kitchen or centralized kitchen format for a lot of the next step. For those who are not out and about in, you know, going to the fast food or driving through the fast food, picking up food or whatnot. But from the delivery side, if you've got your delivery bots, right, and you can fit an entire restaurant in a truck, in a food truck, who's to say that the food truck can't just license, right, the different fast foods like KFC or Wendy's, because all of that is essentially down to a science, really, right? If you've ever seen the McDonald's method of making things, everything is either pre-ordered, pre-sectioned, you know, and it's really assembly, right? You put the fries in to the oil at this temperature for exactly this many seconds, you know, those kinds of things. So what does it say? You can't have a food truck, you know, go to your area, make the food that you've ordered. Let's say you want KFC and Wendy's. The food truck makes it, and then the delivery bot brings it right to your door. And then the delivery bot loads back up and then goes to the next neighborhood or where you know, idealized whatever the traffic pattern is and all that.
Yeah. So I like that you're thinking about food trucks as a way of moving the kitchen closer to the point of delivery. But there are already in existence things called ghost kitchens, which are multi-restaurant, you know, preparation locations in industrial centers, you know, well located, but in more commercial centers than retail centers. So you're not going into the restaurant. You're using DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever, Toast, to order those things. You have a wide range of menus, and as Rain is saying, let's have, you know, a single point source of multiple different possibilities. Today I want pizza. Tomorrow I might want a quesadilla. So you can order those things. The same kitchen is producing those. They might have within that ghost kitchen different little sections that are focused on a different cuisine because there are idiosyncrasies about Mexican as opposed to, say, you know, cheeseburger American kind of thing. But it's already there. And I think that instead of having little robots out there delivering, really what's going to happen is, you know, the Waymo cars and others are going to replace DoorDash drivers and ultimately will replace DoorDash and Uber Eats drivers. And so you'll be able to have your Waymo car go out there and it will interact with the ghost kitchen, get your order and deliver it just like you saw the Taco Bell robot on the videos. It'll deliver it to your driveway. It'll be waiting outside there. Maybe it honks or just maybe it notifies you by text. And your order is fresh, hot, just prepared, not so many miles away, and it's coming right to your door.
It's essentially the Luxottica method, right?
What?
So Luxottica is the company that makes all of the eyeglasses. I'm sorry, 95% of all the eyeglasses in the world. That's all your brands like Ray-Ban, you know, and all of those, you know, famous branding and everything, all made by Luxottica. So I'm wearing Luxottica. Beth's probably wearing Luxottica. Good bet Andy's wearing Luxottica. But it's that centralized, hey, we make everything. We'll slap your brand on it and then ship it.
White label it, right?
Yeah.
Now, because you bring up ghost kitchens, although not directly AI related, but let's just talk about it super quick, is, you know, here's a high profile case of where ghost kitchens actually went really wrong. Now, in this case, MrBeast, we might remember maybe a year or two ago, he partnered with Virtual Dining Concepts, and we wouldn't remember that. In the story, he had put out all these MrBeast burger locations, and it was like, basically there were no MrBeast burger places, and the next day, so to speak, they were all over the place. And now Donaldson, who's the guy who is MrBeast, he's suing Virtual Dining Concepts for basically wanting to expand too fast and not really having any quality control, resulting in bad customer experience, bad user experience, because the big fans of MrBeast, of which he has billions, were saying that the burgers were gross, disgusting, revolting, right? I never had a chance to try one. I don't know if you're still.
I ordered it twice. Once to try it out. Oh, MrBeast thing. Yeah, cool. Yeah. I'll buy in. And then it was terrible. And I was like, okay, maybe I just got a bad batch. Then I ordered a couple of weeks later. Terrible again. So yes, personal anecdotal experience.
Exactly.
It was garbage. Okay. Sorry.
There's a good example of trying to probably build fast, deploy fast, and be either because of however this company, Virtual Dining Concepts, may or may not have said they could handle the situation. It sounds like they could. Hypothetically, I don't want to get involved in the lawsuit, but you can follow up on that on your own. But I did want to at least bring it up because I agree that ghost kitchens, I mean, they were a big thing, right, during the definitely during the pandemic, and probably still. And going back originally to the I can't remember who made it. Was it Renee Guax who made the comment? Yes, I think absolutely in terms of does it have to necessarily be labeled, but think about that. We already have that because of parent brands. So Taco Bell and KFC are the same parent brand. You often see those together. Baskin Robbins and Dunkin' Donuts often see in the same location. So even if it's not like a situation where, it can make Wendy's and Taco Bell, I definitely think these parent brands would have value in not necessarily needing to slap a label, a logo, or having a high profile location, because if it, like to your guys' point, if it's going to be delivered, do I care what the store looks like that it came out of? All I care about is that I have a great experience when it gets to my house. Now, maybe that's by drone, maybe that's by a car and a person, maybe that's by the little robots, which I think are kind of hilarious. But my take on all of this is like, I kind of laugh at the little Chick-fil-A robot getting stuck on the curb, and I'm like, why? Why do we need this? But I've told you guys, I'm the same guy that many, many years ago, 20 years ago, laughed at my Australian friends when they were texting everybody. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, right? So clearly, people will adopt technology if it makes their lives easier, if they feel like it improves communication. And now with AI, there's such a high level of ability to personalize beyond just, I see what your last order is. Do you want the exact same order? To say stuff on the app like, hey, I see it's been raining, here's you want our rainy day combo? And it's like, yeah, it has been raining in my location for the last 3 days or whatever. And now the app is making a somewhat personalized suggestion to me and saying, by the way, I can have this delivered to your house in the old 30 minutes or less. Who was that? Domino's that used to do would they avoid the Noid in 30 minutes or less, which resulted in accidents and drivers getting in accidents because they said they needed to be there. A lot of speeding going on back in the 90s when they did that. So I think there's just a lot here, and it's really interesting from the app, from having that experience and being able to upsell. And there's AI involved, but not robotic AI, right? There's just AI involved in that algorithm and decision-making process through the drive-thru, where we're seeing now that you could talk to an AI and a human may only get involved if they need to, because there's a correction, because the person says, talk to a human, 0, 0, 0, get me out of this system. And then, of course, in that situation, there better be a human immediately following that. Otherwise, it's a poor experience. But if you go through the drive-thru, or you walk in the door, or as we were talking about before, there's a place like this place, Cali Express, which we talked about before, but here's just a little video of somebody called Look Who's Blogging doing an in-person review of it.
Or it would show as new user.
Look, they even have a short one. So if you're short just like me, you can use this one, except I'm...
So very much like a McDonald's kiosk. And so now here's Flippy, or Howdy, I'm Burger Bot, and then there's Flippy behind it.
B, he makes the French fries.
The burger bot is starting to cook the patty.
So we don't have to watch the whole thing because basically the burger, they decided what they wanted, veggie burger. Burger bot creates the patty, dumps the patty into a container, and it stays there until the human picks it up. Flippy, the fries, does the exact same thing. Fresh cut fries in the fryer, out of the fryer, dumps them in the bot. Then one employee goes and assembles the meal. Then there's actually, if we go, let me see if I can get to it really quick. Yep, it's right here. Then they have this robot. The sound is the worst. The robot that then comes and delivers it to you on a tray. And then here the kid is saying, or the kid is saying like, return back to home. And it says like, thanks, hope you enjoy your order. And it's got some American flags on it and it rolls its way back over to it. So the concept here being this is a one person restaurant at any given time. And people are able to dine in, order. I don't know that there's a drive-through version of this. I think I get the impression you have to go in for this experience. I don't know. Are more people going to do stuff like this? Are more of these companies going to have Flippy? Because as they were saying, hey, this is safer. It's inherently dangerous to work around frying oil. It's just my brother did when he was a teenager and he has the burns to prove it. You know, like oil burns from when he was a kid, basically a teenager. And he can point to his fingers at 40 something and go, yeah, that's from the McDonald's fryer for sure. You know, so it is dangerous. And now you have this.
On the subject of health,
yeah,
I want to just introduce here another aspect of fast food, which is the nutritional poisoning of an entire generation or multiple generations. I mean, I don't think it's far-fetched to say that fast food, because of its low cost and its convenience and quality of taste, I'll say, has changed the profile of the nutritional components that are being consumed generally in the human population in the developed world. And so maybe AI could be put to work in service of personalization if you're actually interested in getting a better balanced nutrition from very fast and high quality production facilities like we've been discussing, instead of too many calories, too much sodium, too much sugar, all of that being bundled together in a way that, is actually not too healthy for you. So where's the future robotic plus, personalized nutritional profile that's getting me the right combination of macros and it's delicious and easy and inexpensive?
So, absolutely, right? And that sounds like Google DeepMind goal, right? Create the AI so that the AI can solve problems, right? So you're just going to make it, and then it's going to solve fusion. So we have power that's really inexpensive. It's going to solve disease. It's going to solve, right? Like there's all of that. I just want to highlight a couple things that have been talked about in the chat. And one of them is that the jobs that are being eliminated are unskilled labor jobs that young people can get, right? So, and jobs that are often now being worked by someone who needs a second job or a third job. Same for if it's going to come for DoorDash or Uber Eats delivery kind of stuff, right? Waymo taxis, all that. So just like to bring that into the conversation that we are, that the jobs that we're eliminating in this context are jobs that are, are entry level for people, and entry level jobs serve a really important function in our society. So that's the first thing. The second thing is another $1 million idea from the Daily AI Show. Jude was talking about would you order from, like, could you change the voice or the character that you're ordering from, right? Could you, as somebody, like signal ahead that you're coming with your kids, and so we want to order from Wolverine, or we want to order from, some star, Eddie Murphy, because there's already an existing pipeline between a new movie coming out, right? And that would be another upsell, Ryan, from the product placement, I guess, like character placement. It's not product placement, but it's character placement. And does at the end of that, Wolverine say, "Hey, have you seen my new movie?" Right? Those kinds of things, so that it's upselling kind of across the ecosystem. Very cool ideas. And definitely another $1 million idea from the Daily AI Show.
I think the one takeaway I want to leave us with is, I think the trend with anything AI in particularly the fast food industry is that they are building or using or implementing these technologies to make the experience faster and ostensibly better for their customers, right? So that they can get more customers faster, and have a faster turnover. So if you're keeping an eye on what technologies or how they're going to be implemented, I think that's what's to keep an eye on, right? If it's AI in the drive-thru, that's so that, like Beth said, is upsell you through the drive-thru, get you to purchase more, get you through the drive-thru as fast as possible. It's an app on your phone. You already know what you want. They want to get you through your order and through that drive-thru experience as fast as possible. If it's a kiosk, then it's definitely trying to least amount of contact. You have less stress, and you have an opportunity to upsell or make your purchase as quickly and as comfortably as possible, right? If you have delivery bots, these are all, delivery services. It's so that you don't even have to go to a location and get your food and everything like that. So it seems to me that everything that's being built is to lower labor, make it faster, smaller, and turn over as many customers as possible. Now, the quality of food, like Andy said, that's going to be a tougher one, but I would love to see that if they could improve the quality of food, the nutritional content of the food, things like that, and keep prices down. That would be ideal, because for a lot of people, fast food is the only viable method for to feed themselves and their family, right? Getting organic fresh produce is expensive. Going to like a Whole Foods or one of those kinds of grocery stores is expensive. There's a premium for that quality. And so if you're not in that bracket, a lot of times you have to feed you and your kids. And the only way to do it is go to McDonald's.
Yeah, well said. We'll leave it there. Tomorrow, we're obviously going to be talking about the news. It's funny enough, something from yesterday. There was news that right after we had the show, and then we came out yesterday as far as AI humanoid robots out of China. So we may talk about that. We'll do it on a wrap-up show on Friday as well. On Thursday, we're going to be talking about how does the Pareto problem apply to AI. We've been sort of teeing that up for a little bit, but that came out of a LinkedIn post from our buddy, as we always call him, Ethan Malik, who we will eventually have on the show as a guest, and then do an interview. And then Friday is our 2-week recap show. So that's what we have coming up the rest of the week. Come on back and hang out with us. Thank you, as always, to all of our active watchers and viewers, but also people in the comments who always are just doing just so much innovation and good ideas in those comments. Love it. So keep that up, and we will see you back here tomorrow for all the news that has come around in the last 7 days. And don't forget, you can go to thedailyAIshow.com if you want to find out more about any of our past episodes, of which now there's over 270, or if you want to sign up for the newsletter, which I was just saying at the beginning of this week, is really growing. I'm really proud of. So if you want to get in on that, it's free. It comes out every Sunday, and it's just our way of just sharing a little bit more than we're able to do just in this live show. So lots coming up. Come back and see us. Thanks to everybody, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Aloha.